How you doing, bud?
Oh man, I'm good. How about you?
Amazing.
I know we're a little rushed for time.
Nah.
I was thinking about that. You are probably always rushed for time.
Yeah.
I'm a little flustered and you're like, this is life.
Yeah. There's it's by design. The idle hands are tools of the devil, like devil's mischief type thing.
Yeah.
You do not want to leave me with free time. So my wife says I can bend time because I put things into a day that are seemingly impossible. And like if I recounted my day from 5:30 a.m. to right now, you'd just be like, that's madness.
I'd be dead.
Yeah. And then what's going to happen for what's going to happen for the next 12 hours. So like, there's like, this is impossible. And I was like, wait, or is it? Or do you just do that?
So how do you do that? I mean, I'm sure that's attributed to a lot of your life and just practice and becoming efficient and proficient in certain things. But how does somebody who, doesn't feel like they have enough time in the day start cramming other things in?
My favorite thing when somebody looks at me and they're like, man, I don't have time. And I was like, you cannot say that to me. Like, that's just, you have to say something else. It's that, or like you are the problem and time is not the problem. So obviously, there's time sucks. There's things that just you don't need in your life. And, we have really cool devices now that tell us where we're wasting time. This device can also be a total waste of time, but that, your efficiency tracker and you're on my every week, my phone tells me how long I'm on social media.
Yeah. I don't like looking at that number.
Well, you need to though.
I need to.
It's telling you something. And are we in a place where I can delegate those things that I don't need to be doing? Like, do I need to create? Absolutely. Like, do I need to figure out ways to like have a brand and a message that's magnified and reaches many people? Yeah, of course. But, do I need to be scrolling and swiping and TikToking and refreshing and Snapchatting? Like, absolutely not. My day needs to be filled with productive moments. And do I have to be creative? Yeah. Can I plan times where I could go do things where I am creative? Yeah. So it's just a little bit about being disciplined.
So one thing a lot of people I know will say is, well, it must be easy for you. You have a team of people to help you. And you do. You've got a team here that helps you, and you're talking about delegation. How did that start for you when it came to trying to build your personal brand, trying to get a good message out into the world where you actually felt like you needed help? And what did you do first? Yeah,
I mean, I still run circles around my team.
I bet.
I mean, like to a degree where they're like, where did he go? I was like, well, I told you last night, minute by minute in a line chart of what's happening today. And like the fact that you're not keeping up with me, like, again, that's a you problem. That is you not doing task management right or time management right. So like pull the team out, like you get rid of everybody. I still know exactly in time management where I need to be effectively using my time. Like what is important in my day? Am I getting my fitness in there? Am I getting intimate time with my spouse? Am I spending appropriate time with my children? So there's intentionality and they know that I want to be there. Yeah. Am I being a good teammate? Am I being a good contributing member to my special forces regiment? Like all of these things, like check. No. Okay, there's a problem. What do I need to reorganize? What do I need to get rid of? And like, if you know what's important and what you're supposed to be doing, it's really easy just to get rid of the other stuff.
That's a good point. You've got, it sounds like a pretty good litmus test by which to measure all of your activity against. I don't think a lot of people do. So they just do whatever's in front of them.
That's so lame.
I mean, it is.
Like even with like your
efficient.
Even with like your email, flagging, keeping things unread, moving things to draft, starting to write something and doing it later. Like you can just waste so much. Yeah, you have to reply to business questions. Like I have a bunch of businesses and I have a president that's asking, hey, can we do this? Is this purchase appropriate? Like, is this going to be funded? And I can lose a ton of time there, but I need to be really effective and both in decision making and leading and figuring out like, what do I need to be doing in the right order? I mean, even something as simple as an email, like unsubscribing to things, doing that, like blocking. I call it triaging my email. I star things that I have to do that day. I keep things I eventually need to get to unread, and then everything else gone.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah. If it doesn't meet that, like I have to do because it is like required for my business or like a leadership thing that is might be so simple as me forwarding to somebody or a quick reply or, hey, my answers are in red. But then if it's like, my wife's birthday's coming up, and I knew I've been waiting to figure out what she wanted, and I've been waiting it. So I had a few, I think, presents that I wanted to get her, and I kept those as unread. And as we got closer, I just kept on trying to glean from her and her friends what's the appropriate present. And then, like we're 2 weeks out and got confirmation exactly what it was. So it was like, got rid of all the unread things, didn't need them, and then replied and then clicked on and sent. Like Yahtzee, and it'll be delivered on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's just effective.
You've got those systems in place. How do you manage that schedule, since you bring up your wife and children? Your schedule is so much different than mine, and I would say more busy than mine is. And yet I don't feel like I even sometimes give my wife and kids enough attention. I'm curious about your thoughts with how much time you devote to them. Obviously, she's probably a very strong, independent personality.
Yeah, she is.
She wouldn't be able to handle you if that weren't the case. But I'm very curious about that dichotomy between the two, your work and activity and time with the family.
So I'm here, they're everything. They're like, the hard stop for us today is so I can beat them home. So when they get home, I'm there. So I can spend time with them before they're going to go off to their activities, and then like a fart in the wind, kind of just disappear for a minute. So when I'm here, I got up, I worked out before they woke up. When they woke up, I'm sitting there making them breakfast. So they got French toast. They got some, I made some fresh cream of wheat. They got some fresh scrambled eggs, and then Rolo got some fresh bacon. So that was breakfast this morning at 7:15. Personally drove them to school, dropped them off, and then I went and met with my school staff, talked to them, gave them an update of things coming in, connected with the playscape builder that's coming in. And then in between the drives of everything, I was on calls. So they get done with school today, and I'll be sitting there waiting for them to get there. It's it's all about intentionality. It's like, if they are not your number one priority, when they should be your center of your world. And if they're not, then they're just kids for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's such a finite time.
Yeah. I've thought about that even with my business, and there's things I can do where I can really ramp up a lot of what we're doing. And then I've thought to myself, okay, well, at what expense?
Yeah.
My oldest is 14, my youngest is 6. I really have 12 years of parenting left.
Yeah.
Hardcore parenting. And after that, I can do some of these other things, but I got 12 years of hardcore.
We can do this forever.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but every day you lose, you can't put an exact percentage on it, but you lose a certain amount of influence. When they're born, the day that they're born, they literally can't exist without you, right? They would starve to death, and they'd be malnourished into not existing, right? In a matter of hours.
Sure.
And then emotionally, they can't develop intellectually, spiritually, without that constant feeding from you. So both physically and emotionally, that nurturing has to happen. But then from about 6, every day you lose a little bit of influence.
Yeah.
And by the time, they're 18, you matter, but their boyfriend matters more, and their friends matter more.
Yep.
And they are more influential. I mean, in some poor homes, their phones matter more. And so from that window, from birth until 13, 14, where you start losing that influence, that's your window.
Yeah. I remember this was probably 2 years ago. My 2 oldest boys, they were probably 8 and 10 or 9 and 11, somewhere right in there. And we went to the high school basketball game. They're like, Dad, can we go to the game? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, I thought when they said, Dad, can we go to the game? They wanted me to go to the game with them. And I realized, oh no, they just needed me to drive them to the game. Because we sat down at half court about 5 rows up, and I got them some popcorn or whatever. And we're sitting there watching the game. And within 30 seconds, Dad, my friends are up there. Can I go hang out? I'm like, yeah, sure. Gone the whole rest. I felt like such a loser. I'm just sitting there by myself. I mean, I enjoyed the basketball game because I do. But every once in a while, I'd look up on the top deck where the track was, and I'd see him chasing around girls or doing whatever they did. And it was like a bittersweet moment for me. I'm like, oh, got it. Check. Yeah. I know what's happening here.
Yeah. It's important.
It is. It's good. It's natural. It's the right thing, but it's hard to deal with.
Then everything from birth to those moments, your influence is going to determine who are those friends? You know, and what are they doing with those friends? You know, like, are they going behind the school and smoking weed, or are they going up and playing on the track? Like, both those things are happening that same night that you're sitting there at half court, you know, like at half court, but like,
what's their level of involvement with that?
Yeah.
Sure.
And that spectrum is really determined by your involvement.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I see a lot of kids who are just families in general that are so broken, whether it's physically separated or emotionally and mentally separated. And I really feel bad I feel bad for the parents, sure, because they're in that situation, but what it does to their children is horrible. What is that part of the reason that you felt like with your Acton Academy, with Apogee and your mentoring program, is that a big part of the driving force behind that, or what are your thoughts there?
So I was with Jocko Willink, and we were like philosophizing, where you're talking philosophically about the future,
pontificating.
Yeah. And there's a clear trajectory of, man, school boards are messed up.
Yes.
Weird things are being put into school curriculum. And I was like, this isn't sustainable. You know, like we already see the product of what is happening and coming from schools. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, like the applications that I'm getting and the people that are applying that aren't doing a volume or quality of work that is useful. You know, I was taking a step back and being in the military and pretty much my whole entire life, I've been training young men and watching a shift and seeing what happened from my generation coming into special operations to what is going to the military right now. You know, and special operations has to pick from this population, from this pool of regular people going into the military. Then we pick, you know, the top 1%. That 1% comes and tries out. And then of that 1% that came and tried out, we pick about 8 out of 100. And, so if your initial population, that initial pool is getting like weaker and softer and less capable, like you have to take a pause and be like, what is going on? And so it was 5-6 years ago when I was with Jocko, and we have to do something. Like, we can't keep doing this, because if this is what keeps happening, then we're going to be like to a level where the United States has to recognize we're in a state of emergency, because we can't even protect ourselves. We can't defend ourselves. We can't build anything. We can't engineer anything. We can't create anything. Like, there's nobody to build, because nobody knows how to build.
Right.
And so that was the genesis of it. And then, like, thank God, because here we are, you know, 5 years later, and it's not gotten better. It's gotten worse.
Yeah. Matt told me something interesting. He said, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but it gave me hope. He said, how many people have applied to open their own academy?
Yeah.
And then I don't think he talked enrollment numbers, students with me. I don't think he did. If it did, I can't remember.
Thousands.
I'm sure. And that gave me a ton of hope. I'm like, good, maybe people are waking up to what's going on.
Yeah. So just with, you know, and you have you have Montessori's, you have private Christian, Catholic, Jewish, like tons of different private types of school. Just Acton alone, you know, Jeff and Laura Sandifer right here out of Austin, they had thousands and thousands of people apply to open micro schools under them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're saying yes to as many as they can that really understand how to do it. And, it is a wild ride. You know, if school choice happens, and I pray that it does, not as a private school owner, but as a father.
Sure, of course,
you know,
right.
Where we now have the authority to walk into a school board and be like, you guys are so messed up. This is why capitalism is proven to work, is because you are failing at your job to be able to prepare our children to be critical thinkers. We're not just pulling our child, but with my child comes the money that pays for you.
Sure.
That's going to change everything.
That changes the game.
Schools are going to crumble.
Do you think something like that could happen though?
Yes.
I think it could, but those people want to cling on to that.
They're fighting those unions, those school board teacher unions, and those school board positions. Like, they want power, they want control, they want to be able to put whatever influence they want, and they're so proud to have it, and they're holding on by their fingernails. But then you look into like Northeast, where one governor calls a bunch of parents terrorists because they started showing up to school board meetings and be like, no, you can't do that. You can't teach our children this. I'm not accepting that. They're like, no, you guys are domestic terrorists. And the whole entire state flipped. Just
completely.
One sentence out of his mouth calling parents.
Changed the game.
And And I hope every state does it. I hope every dumb, power-hungry politician that thinks that they can control our children will have to reap the wrath of parents.
I've been talking about the benefits of homeschooling for years. We homeschool our kids. We have for about 3 years.
I was
a year
homeschooled.
or two before. You were?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if that's a case for or against homeschooling.
Yeah, I know. Tough call.
Anyways, I've been a big advocate for 3 or 4 years now. And the trend of feedback I get, it's always very polarizing when I talk about homeschooling. But the trend is shifting more towards acceptance and viability
for sure.
of homeschool then. Those are all the weird kids. And no, that's stupid. It's shifting. I can see it.
When I grew up, my mom was considered like a militant radical. You know, she's homeschooling her kids. Like she has to be this crazy off the reservation, you know, and now I think universally people are like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yes.
Like the only people that aren't are the ones that can't.
Right. Financially, jobs.
Mom has to work, dad has to work. You know, they need to prioritize what's important, because like if their level of living, like their status of being upper middle class or whatever house that their mortgage they're trying to pay, maybe downsize, you know, because like you're going to have to deal with this next generation when you're not going to be able to afford to live in that retirement home, because your children are useless because they were raised to be lemming consumers instead of free thinkers and builders and contributors and good citizens. Like you're gonna have to reap the consequences of you being selfish.
Well, I was thinking about it because I was talking with a good friend of mine, Kip Sorensen, the other day, and I asked him how many cars he has, and I think he said he had 4 or 5 cars between him and his wife. And then I was thinking about how many I have. I'm like, well, I've got 5 operating vehicles. That's 50 or 60 grand worth of vehicles that I could, if I needed to, sell right now, that could help fund a year of me or my wife staying at home and not having to work, and having a parent fully present and available in the home.
Yeah. I mean, that's, for most schools, that's like 3 years of private education.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It is definitely a priority thing. I try not to be too harsh on my judgment, because I've been there at times where, you got to put food on the table. And my wife and I have lived off of food storage that we've set aside. I'm talking green beans and rice, because I'm like, sorry, hun. Yeah. Like we can either make the mortgage payment or go out. Like we don't have any money. So this is what we have to do. So I try not to judge too harshly, but it is definitely a priority issue.
Yeah. Don't Google or search on Instagram or Snapchat canning or pickling stuff, because you get flagged.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yes. I got a warning from Instagram when I was searching. Mike Glover from Fieldcraft Survival. Like, love that dude.
Yeah.
He posted this thing about one of his accounts got flagged, and they suggested that maybe you need to seek some help because he was searching pickling and canning.
What?
Yeah. So he screen captured it and posted it, and I was like, no way.
What?
So then I did it.
Same thing?
Same thing.
Now I want to do it.
I know.
It's like, don't touch the fire. I'm like, I want to touch
I want to. Don't press the red button. It's like, don't tell us that.
I have to press it. But but why? I don't understand. Is it because I can't even fathom why that's a problem?
I can.
Okay, what is it? I'd love to hear.
I mean, who cans? Who pickles?
Well, I think independent people.
Independent people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Does the government want independent people?
No, of course not. Dependent people.
No, they want everybody dependent on them for everything. Yeah. For food, for medicine, for medical, for like all of it.
But how much so you're saying this is on Instagram?
Yeah, it was Instagram, and what all the wives use? Pinterest. Pinterest. Yeah. Those two.
So, but how much of big tech is really in bed with the government?
All of them?
Like, are they in bed with? Or
100%.
It's
I think 100%. No. Like every year, the White House brings in, like, just look at the last election. You know, like how, like, Google straight up said that they were able to swing the vote by double digits.
But what's in it for a tech company like a Google or a Pinterest or an Instagram
it aligns with them philosophically.
So it's just a philosophical preference, and they get to pull the strings based on their.
Well, and then economic. You know, like when in Colonel Cooper's color coding, like white, yellow, orange, red,
sure.
black. He didn't have black in there. We added black as real.
That's the real deal.
When do people when are consumers consuming? In what level?
I guess I would say as the intensity of that color system goes up, that's when people start freaking out and consuming.
It's the opposite.
Okay.
The more comfortable you are, like when do you go to Amazon and buy?
Okay, that makes sense.
When do you go and watch Netflix? When as a consumer, when are you spending dollars?
I thought you were talking more about like the toilet paper shortage or baby
you're definitely
formula. It's like,
you're not buying either of those.
So like, yeah, exactly.
Because they're not there.
Yeah.
So people buy when they're in white and yellow, like when they're chillaxed, when they're comfortable, and they want. And these phones are designed for you to swipe, for you to refresh, for you to just sit there and be like, oh, shop now? Yeah, I'll click on that. That's cool. Well, how did that just end up on your timeline?
Yeah.
Like it was specific. Right. So they make more money when everybody's embedded and everybody has a shared.
Relax.
Yeah.
But okay, so how does that then juxtapose with, let's take media. Mm-hmm. They want everybody all riled up and all bothered and
so
at each other.
There's no doubt how these algorithms work, right? On your Twitter feed, they feed you in your echo chamber, in the vacuum that you're existing. They curate and editorialize. Right.
So I'll stay on there longer.
Yep. Everything that reinforces your belief system. Who you follow, it's mostly people that align with you. Mm-hmm. And those things that you follow will be populated on your timeline most often. Mm-hmm. And so that in that echo chamber, your idea is reinforced over and over and over again. So that belief system is, like you're committed to it and you're in it.
It is real. It is the only belief system.
Then they put in something that's totally divisive. And you're like, wow, outrage.
In there.
Yeah, you're going to drop a bunch of comments. You're going to argue with some people online. Back to echo chamber of your belief system. Another infuriating thing. And then you're just on there.
All the time.
All the time. Just nonstop. And it's so easy for them because they know how the brain works.
Yeah.
They in that confirmation bias where like you have this belief system and you believe it, and then they feed you something in that biased mind, that prejudicial mind of yours, like it's so easy to grab onto something. And that negative reinforcement, like if you have a salad and there's one bad thing, like there's one mildewy leaf in that salad, that whole salad's kind of gross, right?
Everything goes bad, sure.
Right? In inverted, if there's a bunch of bad stuff and there's just one good thing put on top of it,
still bad.
It's all bad still, right?
Yes.
So that's how our brains work. And when we're being fed these things, like we'll just use Clinton or Trump. I don't know. We'll use Trump right now. If you, during the election, searched one of the two of them, and naturally a bad thing is going to be published and populated at the top against Trump. And then on the opposite side, Clinton is all going to be positive. Mm-hmm. We are going to very quickly see the one bad thing, like Trump is a racist.
Right.
And our brain is like, ew, this is all yucky. And they don't need to look at like the mega Trumpers because like they're already mega Trumpers. They're just looking for that 15% that's on the fence.
Interesting.
And then they just feed them the things that they need to see for it to be a gross salad.
How much of this can you, I know obviously you have your rights to be able to talk about all this stuff, but you're in an interesting position within the government. And so is there things, I know obviously this is
like playbook 101 of psychological warfare, by the way.
Oh, and I bet.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering
I got books in our library right out here. I'm not regurgitating thoughts by Tim.
I want to know what
I'm giving you playbooks from like Russia and from China.
From you and I'll let the guys know.
Yeah, it's right. Our library is bang out that door, bang right. Library's on the right. And you'll be like, this is Tim's library?
But how much of it can you, I'm trying to think about how to word this.
So I have a chain of command,
right?
I can have my political belief system. Yes. I can have my spiritual belief system. Like I mean, written in stone in Arlington, it's carved, it's etched into stone that this, you don't have the soldier by forgoing the citizen. Like the human is still the human, right? And the citizen is the important thing. The soldier exists because of who he is as a human, as a citizen.
Sure.
And but that, which is way different than me saying that like my commander in chief, who is President Biden right now, and then disparaging him or saying like the things that he says,
and that's where it becomes an issue.
that's a really clear line, right? Or me supporting a specific political candidate, like any of that stuff, like in uniform, me standing next to him and be like, I'm going to vote for so-and-so. Like now I'm using my military status to support a politician, which is way different than Tim Kennedy, the citizen, supporting somebody that I believe in.
For you, it seems like those lines are, not you personally, but from the outside looking in, it seems like the lines are a little bit blurred between Tim Kennedy, the soldier, and Tim Kennedy, the personality.
Yeah.
So have you ever got any sort of pressure?
Yeah. I get
from
pressure.
Your chain of command, like, hey, you need to back off on this issue.
I mean, they tell me very clearly, like, this is something that I can't talk about, or like in this status, it is blurry. Yeah. So don't talk about these things because it's unclear as, are you Tim the soldier or Tim like the TV personality? And if you kind of go back under that lens of when was Tim as a soldier doing something, it'd be really difficult for you to be like, okay, Tim as a soldier was promoting this product. Never happened. Right. Tim as a soldier was
like that.
Promoting this person. Never happened.
I don't even think I can really recall a time where I've seen you in uniform, even
rare.
Online.
Yep. Yeah. And if I am in uniform, it's like, I'm so proud to be in the military. I'm best job in the world. I love my brothers and sisters. Like that doesn't stop me from being able to have like real conversations, but I'm not going to put on my uniform and be like, what just happened in the Supreme Court is wrong. Me as a special forces soldier is going to march down to Washington, DC and stand in front of the Supreme Court. Right. Like we have crossed the line.
Yeah.
That is not freedom of speech.
Yeah. Interesting. I know we're short for time and that's on me. Definitely not on you. As we talk about time management,
a little bit of time.
In the first part of this, this is for me, this is what I need. But you wrote a new book. And I read part of it because I didn't get to all. It's not out yet, but it is hilarious to hear your stories, to learn about some of the things that you've gone through. What's the biggest reasoning for putting the book out there? Like, why did you want to write the book and share some of these stories that you have?
I think right now, people have been marketed to, they've been lied to. Every device that you pick up, it's curated, and every person editorializes everything about themselves that they put out. And I think that's created a really dangerous time where we don't really know what is propaganda, what is real, what is somebody's brand, what is somebody as a person. It's like, oh, cool, I got a cut on my nose right now. Thanks, Roy McDonald. And so I'm going to use a filter to cover that. Or actually, I'm going to take some makeup and I'm going to cover that up. Then I'm going to use a filter that's going to get rid of these lines and these scars. Right. And then I'm only going to post the best one where I look the right, my butt looks the best, my waist is the rightest, and insert every single thing that we do that dehumanizes us. So this book is the antithesis of all of that. It is like every failure, every struggle, every moment that like every human, if they're real, is going to acknowledge and relate to this moment and that choice. Yeah. They're like, man, I remember feeling like that. And I wrote it in first person in present tense. So it is immersive. So you're going to think back to when you were 15 and you got in your first fist fight, and you're going to remember like how sick you were afterwards when the first time that you've ever experienced real adrenaline, and like everybody has lost somebody, like whether it was a grandpa dying or, somebody in their church, a close family friend. And what does that morning feel like? And nobody talks about that. Everybody just, you see the moment where they're on top of Mount Everest, but you don't see them have crotch rot and like skin falling off their armpits as they're walking so much in training, right? They didn't see the trench foot. They saw my fights, in the octagon, getting my hand raised, this momentous moment against Michael Bisping. But like, did you smell my boxing gloves as I was doing 3 workouts a day? No, you missed that, didn't you? Right. But like, those are real moments. Yeah. So I think it is more important now than ever before because people they're starving for real. They're starving for truth. They're starving for real experts. And, one of the many reasons like why your podcast and Joe Rogan's podcast and Jocko's and, people like Cameron Haynes and like why they're so influential all of a sudden is because people are starving for real. They're so done with all of this other fakeness.
I don't think I've ever told this to you. I think this is our 3rd podcast we've done. And we did one years ago, and we scheduled it and you had a fight, and I think it was with Gastelum. I think is who it was.
Oh, he scuffed me up.
I mean, the guy's
good.
I think he's underrated.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, he's good.
We can talk about that. But
yeah.
As soon as that fight was over, I'm like, oh, well, there goes the interview. And I didn't think we were going to do the interview.
Yeah.
And then I reached out later that next week or week or two. You're like, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're doing it. What are you talking about? Of course.
I mean, my face looks gross, but like, are we?
And to me, when that happened, I was like, okay, this is a real person who can take his beating, take his lumps, and then learn from it and grow and still move forward and share those stories and those lessons that are learned. And that spoke really highly for me. Yeah.
That's this book.
Yeah, it is.
It is failure.
And a lot of unflattering type looks. It's not always perfect, right? Yeah. I was reading Todd, one of the excerpts from it about, what did it say? Something like, gosh, I can't even remember. It was on the, what was it? Yeah. Fire department, police department, EMT, 2 gals pregnant in 4 days. I was like, Todd's like, what?
Yeah.
But that's what people need to see, because this is the stuff people go through in real life.
Yeah. And then don't talk about.
Right, exactly.
You know, whether they're like competing with the Joneses or they're trying to look good for their gym partner or their gym crush, you know, and like, that's not who you are.
Yeah.
You know, like you wear deodorant for a reason. It's because you stink sometimes, you know, and do I need to smell that you stink? No, but like we can acknowledge and know that it's real. That doesn't make you less of a person. And every one of us is beautifully imperfect. And we can at least relate on, as humans, all of the struggles that we share. So we can like get better collectively.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one of the things you do talk a lot about as well is just embracing the hardship, embracing that challenge. You were talking about idle hands earlier. And I think when you do put yourself in those environments, you see your own inadequacies, of course, but then you also see other people's inadequacies in very intimate environments. You're like, oh, that person who I thought so highly of is going through the same shit that I go through every single day as I'm thinking about my life and what I want to accomplish.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah. It's needed.
Yeah.
Because we do fall into that comparison trap of like, oh, well, you know, Tim Kennedy's doing this, and I'm just whatever, you know, and you start beating yourself up without realizing people go through some of the same struggles, even more so in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right on, Tim. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
You're a busy man. I wish we could talk more. We'll get more time to talk next time.
If you ever come back to Texas and we don't do like some rad Texas stuff when you come here, like you're gonna have to change your podcast name.
So what would be the raddest Texas stuff to do? What do we need to do? Well, we need to train jujitsu.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Or there's like a jujitsu
right
gym.
There. We need to go
40
do that,
feet that way. We could like go on a horseback and try to spear some feral invasive pigs.
I'm all about that.
Like, that sounds fun, right?
That sounds like a blast.
Hop in a helicopter, go to the range, shoot for a little bit, go grab some good barbecue. You know, it sounds like another good day.
That sounds like I'm coming back down to Texas pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Man.
Do some fitness that we feel like we're going to die. Go grab some good coffee and tacos, and then go down to town, down to the lake and paddleboard, you know, like try to keep turtles off us, maybe some nutria.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm in, man.
Lots to do.
Let's make it happen.
For sure.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Excited for your book. We'll make sure we share it on our end.
Yeah, it's fun.